Joining us now is David Susi, a CNN safety analyst and a former FAA safety inspector. David, thanks for joining us. I want to show you and our viewers images and the video shot by a passenger on the plane, Jack Cabot. The passenger took these images from the tarmac. As you can see, he and his fellow passengers had just made an emergency exit. These still images show the extensive damage from the impact. The plane's nose completely obliterated. The fire truck looks like it had exploded, and you have investigated and analyzed, as we all know, hundreds of these flight accidents over the years. Just after this collision, after midnight, what stands out most to you?
Well, you can see clearly that the damage to the front of the nose is so significant, it's about 25 to 30 feet of the front part of the aircraft is missing. So because that's gone, you can see that the aircraft goes from a nose down position to a nose up position, just because the weight behind the wheels is more than what's in front of the wheels now. So you can see that it's changed and moved up forward. So one of the things that really strikes me is that because that aircraft hit directly in the middle of the fire truck was moved forward and the aircraft was damaged in the nose. This could have been much, much worse, Wolf. Had that truck been 40 feet further or 40 feet back, then that it would have struck against the wing, the fuel cells, the engines, and would have created a huge fire and would have had many, many fatalities. So as tragic as this is for the two that we've lost, there could have been much, much worse. And just out of pure luck, that airplane hit in the middle of that fire truck and reduced the number of fatalities significantly.
Yeah, 2 fatalities, the pilot, the co-pilot, 41 passengers, other crew members were injured, some significantly. Will investigators seek out videos and images from other passengers and crew members in hopes of finding more information?
Yes, they will, and there's the FAA as well will be investigating this from an air traffic perspective to see what the FAA failed to do, and that would be the air traffic controller. At this point, it appears, listening to the video or listening to the audio from that, is that the truck was cleared to go across this runway for a different incident, but was cleared to go across, and almost immediately the air traffic controller started saying, stop, 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 don't go onto the runway, but it was too late. The fire truck had already entered the runway. So one of the things I would look at as an investigator is, number one, why was it cleared to go when there was aircraft coming in? But number two is, when he said stop, 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 did he evaluate if it was better that the truck continue, and should he have said go faster to get to the other side? I've worried that when he said stop, that the fire truck said, okay, we're going to stop, and stopped in the middle of the runway. Yeah. So it's too early to know exactly those details, but as an investigator, I'd be looking at that time sequence to see what all happened.
And right now, David, what especially worries me is the fact that the nation's air traffic controllers are clearly overworked, often working 6 days a week, 10-hour shifts. How does that impact the nation's aviation safety system?
Well, it has a great impact, but I don't think it's a direct safety impact necessarily. Each one of the airports is under strict mandates now to make sure that they're meeting the requirement of 2 controllers and that they're overseeing it properly. As you recall, less than a year ago, we had a very significant issue with a lot of air traffic controllers that were not manning properly each of these air traffic control centers. But as far as I know at this point, I think the mandates have been put into place to make sure that there's proper staffing is there. And if there's not, then Wolf, what they're doing for the first time in history that I'm aware of, they're actually reducing the number of flights based on capacity of what that air traffic control center can handle. So I think that it's not a direct safety concern for passengers, but it does have impacts as far as what availability of the aircraft, and as you know, the delays that are being caused at the airports, both now from the TSA and as well as from the air traffic controllers.
Yeah, there's a lot that needs to be investigated, and they have to come up with some answers to make sure it doesn't happen again. David Susi, thanks so much for joining us.